2, 1. That's right, everybody. Hello, welcome to Facebook Live. Listen to this music. If you don't like this, you won't like the rest of the podcast. Am I right, guys?
That's true.
Tune in, let's talk.
This is our intro music.
Hosted by Moose Magic, Mike, and Game God. Yeah, talking everything sci-fi. So turn up your radio, bringing you that extra, like extra terrestrial. From movies to comics, plenty interviews, we got it. From Long Live and Prosper to Beam Me Up Scotty. You're in the right place if it's sci-fi you like. Yeah, where all things sci-fi come to life. Woo! Podcast for sci-fi. Let's go.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go. Indeed.
Let's go. What's up? What is up? What is up? This is a different night. I'm excited.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, day 2 of election 2020.
Is that what you're talking about tonight?
We're talking about the election, everybody.
It's about to get crazy.
It's too close to call. Florida, too close to call. Nevada, too close to call.
It's all too close to call.
Nevada.
Hey, show some respect for Nevada. We got a lot of supporters here.
Oh, I'm sorry. At least 2.
That's right.
Who's the other one?
Dave Sampson Law.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a fun night, guys. I feel it's gonna be exciting. A lot of stuff coming across on the
nobody's come in yet, so there you go.
TV piece. Yeah, that's how it is. You know, you're never the first one to a party.
No, somebody has to be.
No.
When should you be? When should you go to the party? Is the question.
An hour before it's done.
An hour before it's done.
Okay.
So that means
when it starts for us. You never know when he's serious. Are you serious?
So if you do it an hour before it's done, you're here on time.
An hour before, maybe an hour before it starts. Maybe you should go. No.
Hey, no, not today.
No. Yeah.
He's an hour before it ends because he's trying to unfreeze all the time. So trying to get his
internet tonight.
Yeah, it seems to be holding well. See, I put a little bit of duct tape, some crazy glue, some rubber bands, and a paper clip.
Where did you put it?
Oh, it's floating in the air somewhere.
Okay. All right. See, again, I thought he was serious. See, he starts it good, and then he just falls at the finish. He's like,
Well, I don't think that anybody's going to ever go as far as to the joke as you do.
Would you like to go get a Cat 6 cable?
They don't have it.
Let's find out.
Have you checked your local store?
They never carry anything. They don't have it.
Good to have you, Gene. We've missed you.
No, Gene, don't start, Gene. Don't start. Like, Gene already put a comment in. No staples. Don't start.
I love it. Gene is exactly on time. Yes. She knows what she knows. This is where you go to get the stuff. What's wrong with you?
Gene had a day off yesterday. She needed to rest.
For what?
She said, "I'm resting from Facebook. I'm gonna take a Facebook break. My guys aren't on. My guys ain't on, so I'm gonna take a break from Facebook."
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wish I had.
What is it that you mean?
Hey, there's a lot to talk about. I know we're just kind of chit-chatting, everybody, just kind of giving a little time to because we're on a different night. So you gotta give time for people to come in and kind of see what's going on and expecting the unexpected when they're like, oh whoa, Podcast for Sci-Fi is on Wednesday night. This is crazy. Twice in the last 30 days this has happened. We could almost say like twice in the last year. But we did that because the election was yesterday. So we know there's a lot of people out there that, and particularly we have a lot of people who join us from other states and others time zones. And so it wouldn't be convenient for them if they're getting off work and need to go vote. So
absolutely. But we are here tonight. We are ready to go.
We're here for the people.
It actually gave me we're here for the people. It actually gave me some more time to review some of the things because it's just there's a lot to digest, and I'm not.
I got to tell you, I won't be able to get to everything that we're going to talk about tonight. What I mean by that is I'll forget. So I'm glad you guys, I have you here because I don't have everything in my head. I can't remember everything. So I'm excited for you to bring it up and remind me what I saw after I saw it. I don't know where we're going to start, but
hopefully I won't bring up the same things that you remember.
Are you just Gene? Are you caught up in Discovery now? Because we need you to be you to be caught up.
Definitely going to be some spoilers tonight.
Yes, yes, I think she is.
Okay, yep. You got Mando. Well, we'll start with Mando. If you have to cut out for Star Wars, I get it. But we are caught up. We'll probably talk some. There aren't any. Oh, Gene.
No,
there aren't that many spoilers. We'll actually say there's probably going to be a couple though. So I don't know if I would stick around for that.
For Discovery, yeah, there's going to be some spoilers for sure.
No, I know, but if Gene hasn't seen them, I'm saying that if she's sticking around for Mando, that's great. But if not, then don't stick around.
Hey, but if we give her the spoilers, she don't have to waste the time to see it.
Waste the time.
Maybe you don't have to watch it, Gene. That would be the question.
Yes, we'll fill you in. We'll give you an hour back.
It sounds like Moose, like Game God's trying to get right into it. It may be just time to get started.
No, but we're going to get started. But we should pick up on Mando because it's the first episode of Mando. So let's start there, and let me see if I can start.
See, Gene, I will not mind. She doesn't mind. We'll talk about it.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. We want you to stick around. So let's see what. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can start this. It's time for a new episode of the podcast. Yes, we're talking about the Mandalorian season 3 opener, episode number 1. There's a lot that's happening there. We're going to get into that. Star Trek Discovery season 3, episode 2 and 3. We're going to get into that, and then anything else that comes up. But first, let's listen to this.
According to Wikipedia, a nerd is a person seen as overly intellectual, obsessive, introverted, or lacking social skills. Many so-called nerds are described as being shy, quirky, pedantic, and unattractive. We're here to prove Wikipedia right.
Oh, look who they let in.
This is Podcast for Sci-Fi, where all things sci-fi come to life. If it's fantasy, sci-fi, gaming, movies, interviews, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. This is Podcast for Sci-Fi. And here's your host, Moose, Game God, and Magic Mike.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Yes, Podcast for Sci-Fi, where all things sci-fi come to life. Episode number 274. I did make an error there. I said Mando season 3, and it's actually season 2, episode 1. I think I said season 3, but that's okay.
You did. I thought we had just missed the whole season, so I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
You guys knew what I meant. Yeah.
Yes, we know what you meant.
Anyway, we're going to talk about those things. I think we're going to get into Mandalorian first here, guys. I think there's a lot to talk about from that particular episode. At least from my mind, I will probably miss some things. Like I said in the pre-podcast, I'm glad you're here to correct me and to get it right and to remind me of all the beautiful things that I saw in that podcast. And I say beautiful because I was so excited that this is back on the air. And I think a lot of people were excited to see Mando. They were excited to see Baby Yoda. Mm-hmm. Everybody still calls him Baby Yoda, not the child, by the way.
This is true. Everybody. I mean, what else? At some point, are you ever going to change it, or is it just Baby Yoda? I mean, I don't know. It just sounds better, Baby Yoda.
I don't think they should ever name him.
Agree. Am I wrong? No, I agree, because it's like Teenage Groot, right? You're just going to have Baby Yoda to Teenage Yoda. That's what happened next.
Yeah.
It's too far in the season now, I think, to actually give him a name now, because you're going to look at him like, no, that's not his name. It's Baby Yoda.
Yeah, he looks like a Wilbur. Like, yeah, it's Wilbur. No, he doesn't look like Wilbur.
Yeah. That's Carlos.
Carlos? Okay. It doesn't like
his name, Carlos.
The Mandalorian season 2, episode 1 came out on Disney Plus. Big a day event to look forward to. I couldn't wait to watch this right after Halloween, and I'm surprised I didn't see during Halloween, guys. I didn't see that many Mando costumes, but I would
You saw
imagine
costumes?
I did see some, but not
I only
many.
saw one, Moose. I saw one Mando costume. That was it.
Really? Interesting.
So just for the record, before we get into Mando, Mike gave all his full-size candy bars to one costume person that showed up at his door. So he gave 6 of them to one person. That was the Mando outfit that he saw.
You should have at your door, you should have a sign that says like costume, best prize gets all my candy, kind of thing. That'd be
We
kind of
did
fun.
give out full-size candies for sure. That was a good idea, Moose. I'll have to remember that for next time.
I just think it's something, I don't know.
So if your costume doesn't look good, you don't get any candy. If it looks okay, you get a small candy. You get a mini. If it looks great, you get a full size.
Yeah, but I can't say no to the the under 6. You know what I'm saying? They come up with a costume. I'm going to give them some candy. I'm sorry.
I know that's what I was going to say, Moose.
Dean asked, "Hey, seeing the Mando, kind of wondered what happens to the Dune, the remake of Dune coming out." Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Gene also mentions a lot of Carol Baskins. Yes, you are exactly right. I did see many of that, not in person, but I saw a lot on like Facebook. Like there was a lot of Tiger King.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of Carol Baskins and Tiger King. So anyway,
that's funny. I did not see any of
those. Let's move on. Let's get into Mando. I want to talk about this. Okay, you guys saw it. You remember the first season of Mando? We all cheered, and it was great. Then we see season 2, episode 1, and my initial reaction to you is I cheered again. I cheered out loud a number of times when I saw certain things happening inside this episode.
Now I can tell you that I cheered.
I thought he was going somewhere else with it. I was like,
yeah, I know. Okay.
Cue
Cue the music. No, yes. I can tell you, I cheered like one of those sand creature people.
There's a creature people. Yeah, those are called Tusken Raiders or sand people. I will tell you that whole explanation of what they did, and we'll probably jump around quite a bit in here, but that whole explanation of what the sounds that they were making, and of course the way they communicate with Mando is always pretty cool. We saw that in season 1, but in this particular piece, there was a very good connection here, and I don't know if you guys caught this or not. Did you catch it about the sounds?
No, I did not.
I can't say that I did, so you're gonna have to go ahead and explain it because I'm not sure if I catch the connection for what
not necessarily their sounds per se, but I want to tell you the sounds that are like that Mando made. Did you? All right, let me. I'll go through and I'll just tell you connection. So there's this big dragon. This like a big worm in the middle of town that they go after. They go hunt this thing, right?
The crate dragon.
Yeah.
Crate dragon, yep.
And what's interesting, there's some pieces that kind of go back to Star Wars lore and the originals, and how this thing comes about, because we saw something like this of a skeleton of this way back when in Star Wars. And so you never really saw the creature, but now you're actually seeing this creature, and they made reference to it eating the sarlacc,
the pearl.
And
yes.
So they're like, oh no, that thing, he can't. A sarlacc couldn't. What did they say? He couldn't beat a sarlacc. He was, oh no, yeah, he ate the sarlacc.
Yes,
he wouldn't be in there, and he goes, unless he ate it.
Unless he ate it. That's what he said. Yeah. So I see. I'm glad you're here. Thank you, GameGo. But that to me, that brings back so many emotions from the original Star Wars and from Return of the Jedi, and when they see these these skeletons, you're like, well, what is that? We never really show it, but now we have something it's tangible, and you put your hands on it. And I'm going to go back to way back when, to A New Hope, and when everybody was afraid of this dragon. Everybody was afraid of it. Nobody wanted a piece of this thing. They're like, nope. When they go and they're trying to lure it out of the cave, that was just a terrific moment for me. So they have the oh gosh, what do they ride? They ride the
Bantha. The sand speeders.
The Bantha, right?
Oh, the bantha.
Yeah.
No, the bantha. They put the bantha out there so that it would, the dragon
Eat the
would come out
bantha,
and eat it, right? And it was so funny because when I saw it, I'm like, oh, clearly, they're not. He will not eat the sand guy. Sand guy's running. The Tusken Raider's running away, and then all of a sudden, whoop, he does. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that was such a great move that they did that. Well, because I really didn't expect him to do that. I expected him to eat the bantha, just like it was called for.
What was really cool is as you're watching it, you're like, okay, so the guy's running, and the first picture they show you is kind of an up close. So you're like, okay, he'll make it as he's running. Yeah, yes. And all of a sudden they show that they widen the frame, and then it just comes up, the dragon.
And he's running. It's funny that you see him running like that, like for his life. And I'm like, oh, this is a little dramatic that he's running that way. No, he was running for a very good reason. He should have been. The dragon ate him. I thought that was great. I loved it.
I thought the funniest part I thought of that whole scene was like, well, he didn't want the main course. He just wanted an appetizer. He wasn't that hungry. So that's what I thought when I was like, he wasn't that hungry.
I think you realize that, hey, the bantha will be here when I come back.
That's true.
I'm going to get you. So this was a really great moment for me to see that, and I thought it was classic comedy in a Star Wars where you just go, ooh, yeah, that's funny, and that would have happened because that's what you want to see happen, really, and it did.
Well, and what I loved about even just talking about the episode as a whole, because we've talked about how Star Wars is basically a space cowboy movie, space western.
All right. And I like where you're going.
Yes, and oh man, I love westerns. I love Star Wars, and you get that feel right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
As even walking into that town initially, when they're in the dark and they have, I'm telling you, Moose, you and I talked about this. I still couldn't find it. There's got to be some Easter eggs of graffiti somewhere on the walls, something that points to some other things. I don't know what they are.
It's funny you bring that up. I do have one of the Easter eggs is that obviously with the time period of when it is, did you know those they had the stormtroopers were painted. Those were stormtroopers painted on the wall, and they were crossed out, and they were so there's no love lost there. So this is I love how they tie like to your point, Moose, how they tied the movie, and the movie you were referencing was A New Hope when they showed the skeleton of the Krayt dragon, and they referenced that. So I love that they're putting the extra effort and work to not just keep this as a standalone show that every once in a while may just reference it. They're actually putting pieces in the background. Like you want to look for stuff in the background. Yeah. You want to look for things.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a good thing too, because when they first get into the town, like you talked about the Western piece, you hear this ching, ching, ching.
Oh, I know.
Like stirs, and I thought that was great. But more importantly, we know that happens, particularly with the Mandalorians when in their armor and that. Mm-hmm. But if you go back and we see this, and he rides in like he's on a horse or maybe a modern day motorcycle, he rides into the town. I thought that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of references the later scene when you see two of them going, like it's two horses or two like big Harleys or something that they're on riding to the spot to the where the Krayt dragon's at. But or ultimately the Tusken Raiders. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and that again we're jumping around, but that speeder that what's his name? The Marshal's on. The Marshal's on. That is part of Anakin's pod racer.
Well, okay, so it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. So when I was watching it, I'm like, that looks familiar. I had to rewind it 2 or 3 times, and because a part of me said, nah, that can't be it, because it's so far ahead. Like it's the Phantom Menace. Who knows the time frame? I don't know the number, but it's time has passed for this to be the same. But I did like that they left it that you will translate it to be that way, and that you can say, hey, you know what? Right. They didn't fact check it. They didn't say that's what it is.
Yeah, but it definitely, you look at it and you look back and you're like, yeah, absolutely. And of course, this is all taking place on Tatooine, which is just terrific because, again, it brings us back to, where it all started. Now, I want to get to something real fast here. When you see him and the Marshal come in, first of all, you see the armor.
Oh!
You're like, okay, this is Boba Fett. Here he is.
Yes,
now, when I saw him, I'm like, hey, he looks a little to be Boba Fett, but I was excited because I'm like, oh, what? This could be him. Yes. I love the armor.
I thought it was him right off the bat. I'm like, oh my goodness, are they starting like this? Is what they're gonna do?
Really?
And I was with you, Moose. Yes, and I was with you, Moose. For for the first second, you look at him, you see him in there, he's like, this can't be. And you look at him, he's like, wow, he looks a little thin. Man, time hasn't been good with him. I was like, he's short a steak sandwich, And then right away, I love how, not to go ahead, Moose, you can continue it.
No. So anyway, so he takes off his helmet, and right away you go, okay, nope, that's not Boba Fett. But why isn't it Boba Fett, Magic Mike? Do you know?
Well, let me hold on. I did not think it was him. When he showed up, I'm like, okay, look at the outfit. I get he's got the armor, but the rest of it is like, you could tell. For me, I was like, there's no way they're going to make him this be Boba Fett. There's no possible way he could be that. So I knew that I felt that anyway. And then, of course, takes the helmet off. And then I was surprised that Mandalorian was surprised because he's like, oh, wait a minute.
Well, I was going to say, did the rules change? Did the Mandalorians now they just take their helmet off for no reason?
Oh, I knew. I think that's what you were getting to. Yeah.
That's how you knew it wasn't Boba Fett. It wasn't a Mandalorian. And then when his description that he, from the Jawa piece to, I thought that's all terrific. The storyline with that and how it played out is good.
They did a great job of putting it loosely fit together. Like they don't go into like hard detail. Like this is exactly what happened. Therefore, this is the result. They you think with Jawas, they collect everything. They always want to trade. So that's feasible. That's feasible. Like just like the speeder, it's like the speeder. Like, oh, you know what? The Jawas probably traded him for that too. So it's very feasible. I do want to point out the character that plays the Marshal, Cobb Vanth. Timothy, I'm not gonna say his last name. I'll butcher.
Yeah, that's what Gina and chat room as well.
Yep. Timothy. Yeah.
Yep.
A fun fact is that in those two shows, he also played a Marshal.
Yes, he was. I have not seen Deadwood, but it makes me want to watch it after seeing him in this. But I did see Justified.
Yeah,
at least part of it.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Now I'm going to go back just for a moment. Because as one of the big surprises happens at the end of the show, and I'm going to defer that.
Oh, we're jumping right to the end. Okay.
No. I said I'm deferring that. I'm going to go back to where we left off, but I'm deferring the surprise to the end because if you don't know, I'm about to tell you. Now, however, let me just go to this crate dragon, about how deadly he is and about how bad he is. He's like everybody's afraid of this guy. He could swallow towns, evidently, and nobody can really
Tremors.
Get him. Now, it does remind you of Tremors. You're right. But listen to this. Remember when we first got introduced to Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, and when Luke was attacked by the Sand People, right? And then Obi-Wan came out of nowhere per se, right? He's just kind of walking about. And then he made this noise, he did this call in the air, and the Sand People scattered. Now, do you know what that call that he made was? The crate dragon.
Really?
The crate dragon's roar. And so that's what. See, so to me, I go, oh my goodness,
that is really cool.
Makes so much sense when they whether it was written like that or not. They used that, and I'm like, I love it. I love what they did there because I love connections like that. And you go, no one ever really questioned what sound did he make to make the Tusken Raiders? Well, now it's a crate dragon, and now you know why they were scared and why they left. That's why.
That's awesome information, man. I appreciate that. Because sometimes you don't know, so and you just assumed it was okay. You just scaring them off but that's really cool. That's good information to have. Oh, and by the way, thanks Jean for that comment that she made for me. So about it. But man, I have to go. So Jean, just talking about
Magic Mike, he needs that.
But just the overall feel again, as I was trying to explain about the Western feel, because everything you talked about, Moose, the Spurs, when he walks into the bar, you get the Spurs walking into the bar and he goes, hey, give us whatever drinks, give us 2 of those drinks. And then the standoff they're about to have in the bar, and it's like,
yes.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this in front of the kid. Oh, he's seen worse.
Yeah, right here.
Right here?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
right here.
Let's do it.
And by the way, we all know that Mando would have tore him up. Let's be honest.
Of course. It doesn't stand a chance.
And he knew it.
But I want to go back to the opening 5 minutes. Do you know the character? Now, Moose, I know you appreciate actors who play characters that are covered in makeup and costume, and you can't tell that's that character. And then when you find out, you're like, oh, it's that guy. So do you know who Gore Koresh was?
Gore Koresh.
That's the Cyclops dude.
He's the
yeah. Gore Koresh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Do you know who played him?
No, I have no idea.
You guys take a seat, because if you're not sitting already, you're gonna be. It was John Leguizamo.
No way.
Was it?
Yes,
I knew that.
Yes,
only because I've seen it, but I didn't know at the time. But it is.
He played that character. So again, here are these a great actor. Now I'm glad I didn't know this when I watched it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see and hear his voice.
Right.
But it's fun. It's fun after the fact. You're like, oh wow, okay, oh really? And so now you go back and you look at, yes, that is him. Yeah,
I did, yeah.
But that whole opening scene with that wrestling match or duel or boxing, whatever you want to call it, I guess their version of boxing. Hey, I want to tell you, that is such a homage to Jabba the Hutt and that kind of lifestyle that they had, where it was just gambling, underworld, made it real seedy, you know. And the fact that the child was in there, and I love the fact that when they try to get the jump on Mando, like they thought they had the jump on, and they had like 12 guns on him, and he barely makes a flicker, and he takes out everybody. The child, baby, was like, "Oh, bad mistake. You guys shouldn't have done that." So all those little things are hilarious.
I close up my egg here.
Yeah. So those things are. Yeah, those things are incredible. And one side piece here, who's controlling the seat that Baby Yoda's in? Like, is it like controlled by Baby Yoda? Is it like automatic follow?
So he has it on his wrist. If you remember, it'll follow him. So nice try.
Well, no, I didn't know. So thanks for that. I'm like, why is this thing following him all the time?
The same reason why you keep freezing up. So let me say this real quick. Was it just me, or did his Gol Koresh, whatever his name was, I forget his name now. Did his costume? It looked real. What I mean by that is, like, you see stuff in the movies all the time, it looks like real, but it looked like it was. You couldn't see anything that told me it was not real or that it was CGI. It looked like that was him, and he was talking, and everything was moving the right way. I mean, it was amazing to me.
It was probably Gore Koresh, but it was probably CGI. But obviously enhanced. It probably was prosthetic with CGI on top, but it's great. I love it. I love what they're
spending money. Spending money.
When they were talking about the whole piece, when in that opening scene when you have the Gamorrean guards, I thought that was great to be able to see the Gamorrean guards again in any form, and they were fighting much less. So I thought that was really, really spectacular.
Well, and they look, don't get me wrong, Moose, but in the Mandalorian season 2, they looked bigger than they did previously, and so it was really cool to see them bigger. I
actually thought they looked a little bit slimmer and not so awful, like in Jabba the Hutt, where they were guarding Jabba's palace.
They did look slimmer. They did.
I thought it looked short, sorry, maybe slimmer, but I thought it looked shorter in Jabba the Hutt.
Probably because they were bigger. Yeah. I would think that's the reason why.
Yeah, I gotta say something here, because I know we're gonna be moving on here, but when are they gonna fix? Let me say it here. When are they gonna fix Boba Fett's jetpack malfunction? I mean, we see that happen in Return of the Jedi when Han just hits the back of his jetpack and he flies off. The same thing happens here. Mandalorian,
let me recreate that scene for you. I'm Han Solo, and then Chewie goes, or however he does it. And he's like, Boba Fett, where? And he around, and then he hits the jetpack and goes up. Yeah.
Yeah. And in Mandalorian too.
Anytime someone says Boba Fett, I love saying where and acting like Han, because that's what he did. Now, the other thing, just again, little Easter eggs here. Remember, what they're drinking in this cantina was a bunch of blue milk. I thought that was interesting.
Yes.
Paying tribute to the days of old or days of new, considering the new Star Wars.
Was that the blue milk? I thought it was the stuff from season 1 for the things they were harvesting from those blue shrimp. I thought it was from those. Maybe I was wrong.
Who knows? Who knows?
It's blue. I
was with you, Moose.
Magic Mike. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. All right, but anyway, I don't want to get to the the Great Dragon dies, they kill it, they blow it up, boom, boom, boom. But the coolest piece here, the coolest piece is this. At the end of it, okay. First of all, he gives him the armor, okay, and at the end of it, who do you see that's watching all this take place? Well, there's a guy there. Now, Magic Mike, I'll pause for you with knowing just by looking at him, Game God. Do you know who he is by looking at him? The guy that was watching at the end?
not from behind.
Okay. Oh no, he turned around. Showed
I know he turns around. I know because of his name in the credits, and I know his name and who he refers to. But if you look at him as a character like Faith, you're like, that doesn't look like who I think it is.
Oh no, I see him. I know exactly who.
Oh, you do you? Okay, yeah. So okay, no.
So
for me,
my
no.
question is, who is the character? He is Tamora Morrison. We've met Tamora. He's a terrific guy. I love him. However, what is he in this episode? So what is he, Magic Mike? What's your opinion of what he is?
So my first thought was, okay, well, we know he's a clone. We know that. But my question is it Boba Fett or is it a clone? Just a part of the clones. I don't know that, but from what I've seen, the people are really saying it's Boba Fett.
Okay. All right.
Where?
Game God, is that where? Yeah, exactly. Very good. If I had a ding, I'd give it to you.
That's exactly what I'm seeing. Yeah. Okay. That's exactly what I'm seeing. People saying it's Boba Fett. But obviously there's a story behind Boba Fett, so there's some explaining to do there. I think that if that's the correct story, they laid some groundwork with the Jawas having the armor and all that stuff, or him coming for the armor, and it shows it that he's looking at them speeding away, and I'm presuming that he knows he has the armor. He wants his armor back.
And Moose has already alluded to the story that can take care of him being eaten by the ground thing. I forget what it's called, but
the Sarlacc.
Yeah, Sarlacc. Thank you, because it says that the Great Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. Now, having said that, now listen to that. This is an important piece. So if you don't know, Tamora Morrison played Jango Fett from the prequels. Jango Fett was who they used to make all of the clones, and the clone troopers, which later turned into the stormtroopers. But the clone troopers were all clones of Jango Fett. Jango wanted one of those clones not to be enhanced, but to raise as his son. And of course, that's who Boba Fett became. He was Jango's son, but it was a clone of himself. Yes, all the clone troopers looked exactly like Jango. That is correct. And that's where we don't know what it is, if it's a clone trooper or it's Boba Fett. My guess is it would be Boba Fett. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I think that that's an amazing piece that they have Morrison to do it the same or a role again. I think that's great. You could say, "Oh, is it Rex?" From the Rebels, because it's a Rebels tie-in here, so it may not be Boba Fett at all. It's going to be some Rebels. Will we see Ahsoka Tano? Will we see some other people from Rebels or the Clone Wars? I said Rebels because that's what's on my mind. But will we see some other people from the Clone Wars in this? And I think the answer is yes, we will. So it very well could be just a clone. It could be Rex or Cody. It could be you just don't know which clone it is. My hope is that it's very cool, and it's either it's cool either way. Either it's a clone or it's going to be Boba Fett. And we just don't know. What's even cooler is that Morrison could play multiple characters in this whole thing.
Correct.
Absolutely. And if it is Boba Fett, can he put his armor back on? He can't.
No, he can't. According to the lore, he can't. Once it's off, he's no longer a man. I don't know if they disowned or they get killed or whatever. But what I wanted to ask, and you kind of alluded to the answer already, Moose, was that who do you prefer him to be? And you kind of alluded to who you think you want him to be. But can we get on the podcast? Who do you want this character? Do you want him to be Boba Fett? Do you want him to be a clone? Do you want him to be? Who do you want him to be?
I'm split 50-50. It's too close to call. I want it to be Boba Fett, and I also want it to be one of the clone troopers, Rex, Cody, one of the major ones is fine. It's fine by me.
Okay, what about you, Mike?
Same
question.
because it makes perfect sense, and I don't think all the clone troopers, died after that point. So I think it makes perfect sense for that to be them.
I want him to be Boba Fett, but again, as I stated, he can't put the outfit, the armor back on. That's the problem that I have, is not being able to see him in the armor again, unless they break some kind of rule, which they can do. But as the Mandalorian lore goes, he can't put it back on. But I do want it to be Boba Fett.
Gene is saying she's 50-50.
Yeah.
She's 50-50.
Well, like I said, it could still be Boba Fett, and he could still reprise a role of Rex or Cody later on in the series, and you think it's Boba Fett, and then later it turns out to be a clone trooper. So I'm okay with that. Like that to me would be a win-win. I would like that. And look, I think it's very likely that could happen.
So here's the thing for me.
Yeah, go ahead. Interrupt me, please.
So here's the thing for me. Yeah. No, apparently my tape loosened up, so my internet loosened up. Here's the thing for me. I if it's Boba Fett, does that mean now he can be put into movies for upcoming?
Yeah, I know a lot of push was to have Daniel Logan reprise the role of Boba Fett, but honestly, Tamora Morrison is in great shape, and he would do a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take anything away from Daniel Logan, I'm just saying, if the helmet is on, you won't know it's Daniel Logan or Tamora Morrison, just for the record. So,
yeah. So Boba Fett it is. Boba Fett. Let's make it Boba Fett. I'll send a letter in and get that taken care of for you guys.
Okay, do it. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Anything else about we went a long time there with Mandalorian. I knew that it could go long. Any last thoughts?
No, I mean, well, one last thought. Pearl, right? The pearl that they found in the dragon. We know that
pearl, another one,
to lightsabers, but I don't want to go too much detail because we're ending it here. So, but that happened.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because they use that, and like if you go back to some of the old video games, that you could use a pearl to make
correct.
But I thought it was kind of cool because it's a pearl found in a monster that lives in the sand. So I think that's it's appropriate.
Yes, absolutely.
And the game Moose is alluding to, Knights of the Old Republic. Great game. Great game.
One of the best Star Wars games ever, actually.
Yes. Great game there. For me, I think I'm gonna go with what Gene said in the chat room here is that when episode 2 comes out, I think I'm gonna watch episode 1 again and lead right into episode 2.
I think that's a great idea. I really do. I think that's a terrific plan. And because I enjoyed it so much, I would love it the second time just as much. So, all right. Well, let's move into Discovery season 3, episode 2 and 3, because okay, what's your first initial thought, Magic Mike, from 2 and 3? You caught up on all of that.
Okay, so I have a lot to go through. I'll try not. We'll just go. Okay, so I really enjoyed them. Just like I did the first episode, not quite as good, but still good. I still enjoyed it because they brought in some new characters again. They brought in a bad guy who was to me like Negan. Now he's the Negan of Star Trek.
Agreed.
And the Discovery ship finally comes into play. We talking about 2 episodes. I got to remember where I'm at. Finally comes into the same era as Burnham, and they land on this planet. And apparently, the only place that they landed was the only place they have the ice. For whatever reason, everywhere else on the planet you look around is just it's mountain. But on this part where they landed, it's the ice. But they go into they find this person there. But I got to tell you, because I don't want to go too much detail, just about Saru really quick. One is I see a lot of Picard traits in him, and that is he wants to be about, hey, stick to the Prime Directive. This is what we do as Star Trek, or excuse me, as oh man, I can't even think of the
Enterprise.
No, not Enterprise. Who we are, Federation. Sorry, the Federation.
Federation.
This is who we are as the Federation. But I'm having a problem because he does not command the authority. He does not bring the authority of any of the Star Trek captains that we're familiar with. And so I'm struggling with that right now. But I'll leave it at that for now as we continue to talk about it. But I like the Picardish where he wants to do what's right, but he doesn't have the authority. I'm struggling with that.
So I'm going to jump in and say I want to just touch base on the authority piece with Saru. I think that the reason why, and maybe it's just my thought process, that you don't see that full authority is that he truly isn't a full commander yet. Like he truly isn't. Like it's not his yet. So he's enacting. He's not. He's taking charge of the ship, but he's in acting. He's in the acting position. So maybe that's kind of like showing that he isn't fully there yet. He's got the training wheel still on, and I agree with you. A lot of what you said, Mike. He wants to do what's right. He wants to, but he doesn't. No one's scared of him. No one. I say scared. No one respects him per se in that aspect. So it's kind of hard to see that complete picture with him. But I got to tell you, episode 2, I think out of the 3 episodes was the best episode. I think episode 2 for me. Yes, I love the fact that there was a lot of, if this is a phrase, Star Trek-ish stuff in there. For me to feel like I was in that world. The ice as a parasite for me I like that little feature there. That was different. I didn't think that they were going to get saved at the end of that episode by Burnham. So that was a little curveball for me. I thought episode 3 was the worst episode I've seen. I thought that episode 3 was so boring. It was just so much talking. There was just so much like, what am I watching? I want to even go far as to say is I think episode 3 of season 3 was probably the worst episode that I can remember out of the whole entire series, because it was that bad for me. I don't know if it was because it was just so many characters. They introduced new people from Earth. They showed Earth. Earth to me looked a little cheesy. It looked a little over the top for me. And so it was just too much in one episode. And I was like, this is if I had to watch that as a first episode, I wouldn't watch the show.
Wow.
Well, I you're onto something there, Game God. I think I completely agree with you with as far as the weakest episode out of the entire series. I agree with you. There was a lot of talking, and nothing wrong with talking, because Star Trek has a lot of talking. So, and Magic Mike's made clear that a number of times when I brought that up in other ways. But I thought that you mentioned something a while back, and I don't know if it was on podcast or off podcast, but you were like, it's just moving too fast. And that's what I want to get at and bring you back to what you said. The storyline is moving so fast. It's almost like when they go from even this, and I'm talking about just season 3 now.
Correct.
It's moving so fast from, oh yeah, we're saved. All right, we're going to Earth. Here at Earth. And I'm like, man, where's the setup? That's where the old Star Trek, whether it be TNG or what, you name it, I don't care which one. It doesn't matter. Voyager, D Space Nine, like whatever. During that travel, during that time that you're going to another place, you would have dialogue, and that's where the story fill-ins would come in. Instead of just automatically, we're here. Oh, they see us. Here they're coming to get us. Like it moves so fast, like this, and that's the problem that I had with it, is that not necessarily the talking, but it just moved too fast. The story moved along too quickly, and then the bad guy wasn't a bad guy at all. He was a human, and they just demashed him too quickly. And I'm like, oh, come on. I mean, that was my thought of it. I thought prior to that, I agree with you. Episode 2 had so much more depth, even though they had the Negan of Star Trek. They had so much more depth in what was going on. It seemed to be, I love the storyline where they were going. Magic Mike, I want to comment on something you said about Saru. Yes, you're right. You see moments of greatness with Saru, of leading them, and then a lot of times moment of weakness but I think that's coming to I think that's going to be a full circle. I think that's a slow circle, and you're going to see
burn.
A slow burn. I don't say it, but I used it last podcast, I think. I think you're going to see that come around, and you're going to see, because his little things like shot.
Yeah, where did that come out? Where did that come from? Like, did he level up?
Yeah,
he did. He leveled up.
So I'm thinking that it's going to really come, because we don't know a lot about his species necessarily, but they were, they sense fear, and they were
oppressed, and now they're not.
Like so now it's a whole new category for them, because they don't even know what to expect, because Saru was like, no, wait a minute, this is supposed to be this way. Like he didn't die, like they expected him to when he lost his little wiggly squiggly wheels, like
squiggly wheels.
But again, I think that you're going to see that come full circle, and then he's going to demand part of that. It's kind of like having Thor come around, and eventually, I think he'll have that presence. I think, maybe not, but
Well,
I think that we're going to see that come around eventually.
I hope you're right because I really want to see something like that. But the problem I have is, and so as I'm jumping around here, is that, and I love Giorgio again, but I'm afraid she's going to be, like Lost in Space. She's going to be the doctor that slipped on board. That's what kind of gets the feel of that a little bit. Like I'm going to sabotage everybody.
Good. That's good.
But I really do want to see something happen with her differently. But I love her character because she's the reason why they're alive after being, on that planet.
Correct.
But
Georgia does a
so
great thing in that episode, by the way.
Yeah. So, but going into episode, I see what you're saying, Moose. I get that. It is moving too fast and I think Voyager is the perfect comparison where they were trying to get back 70,000 light years and they were on their mission the entire time, but they had these stops in these different places to do different things. And I would appreciate if they would have done that more. I didn't think it was boring. I didn't think there was too much dialogue. I do agree with Moose, the fact that it was too quick. Things happening too fast. Second episode, it happened just right. The third episode, it should have been something else. But it's happened. It is what it is. So I'm hoping they're going to change. But I even saw that in season 1 as well, though, where they seem to be moving a little too fast.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that, Mike.
Because they had to follow a storyline, and that's the problem that we've talked about versus other Star Trek like TNG, where they're not following a storyline; they're following Star Trek.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you on that, Mike. I think in season 2, we were complaining that they were taking too long to get to the point of the storyline. They were dragging the story out. I know. I understand you said season 1, but I think in season 1 we all agreed that it was perfectly paced. That's why it was good. And in season 2, they dragged the season. If I recall correctly, so I think that what Moose is saying is right. So between episode 1 and 2, a year passed. Right. And here we go between episode 2 and 3, we're at Earth. And the piece for me is that I don't know the Star Trek lore like you guys know it. Like Mike, you know it like it's written, like you wrote it. Have they ever in any of the Star Trek series or movies gotten and landed on Earth?
Yes.
Yeah, plenty of times.
Yeah, plenty of times.
So I didn't know that. So I'm thinking this is the first time I'm seeing Earth.
Oh no!
Right in the future,
this is the first time seeing Earth in the future. Now, this is the first time we're seeing it this far in the future. But we have seen Earth in the past, but without question. The difference is that it's a whole new piece, and I still like the parts of the story where they're going, where they cut off communication and long range sensors and things like this, and now they've found another faction of Earth of humans living somewhere else, and like I appreciate that piece of the story. I like it, but I just think it moves too fast. Like again, all of a sudden these guys were menacing to Earth, and they just beamed them off and pulled.
And now they're friends.
Like come on, that's just too fast. I mean,
I agree.
Drug that out.
So, way too fast. And then they bring in the Trill, which was awesome, by the way. But again, that could have been another episode because they could have dragged out to say, when. Okay, who is this person? What's so special about this person? And we could have learned that much more in a Star Trek fashion, just like you learn when Dr. Bashir is a changeling, and that they dragged that out for several episodes in Deep Space Nine. But this is where they could have dragged out several episodes and made it more interesting. But I agree, too fast, not boring, just too fast.
I think at the end of episode 3, I left with the feeling that said, is there only 8 episodes of the season? Are they trying to finish it on like 8? Like I don't feel the story. Like between episode 1 and 2, I knew where they were going, right? I kind of felt like, okay, this is what they did. This is there's a picture. There's an end picture. This third episode now with the Earth piece, now I feel like it's just a hodgepodge. I feel like we just threw a whole bunch of things in a pot and we're just going to go ahead and see what sticks and see what's the story that people want to listen to. So it kind of took me back, man. I struggled in episode 3 to watch it. And it almost made me I almost didn't finish it because that's how much I struggled with it.
You and I differ there. I definitely didn't struggle. I thought it was the weakest episode. I did think that. I certainly think that the Trill piece, because first of all, I go, oh, who's this, 16-year-old girl coming onto the starship? And then all of a sudden she's, she knows everything, sees everything. Well, the trill piece now makes sense. So now that part made sense. Oh, do you want to know who this person is you're trying to get? Oh, well, that's me. What do you mean? Well, let me explain. And I like that piece of the storyline. I agree with you, Mike. I think that they could have extended that out. My only concern is that it's moving too fast, and it'll lose people who don't like it to move so quickly.
Well,
lay it in, game, right?
Well, and going to Game God though to help him understand, because he's saying that he was following a storyline, then all of a sudden left the storyline. Star Trek doesn't have a storyline.
No, I get that. I get that. I guess I got a little spoiled with Discovery though. I guess that's what it is.
So you're used to episode, you're right, seasons 1 and season 2 where they've been, it's been. This is what's happening next versus being, independent episodes like Star Trek has been, with some mixed in storylines and things like that. But this is why Moose and I are saying this is moving way too fast, because we want to see the in-between stories. And you're saying that it's too slow. And I find that interesting. And maybe that's what I wonder how everybody else feels about it, because I wonder if the regular Star Trek fans are going to feel the same way as Moose, and then the new ones are going to feel the same way as you. That would be an interesting.
That's interesting, yeah. And again, I think Gene calls it out. Season 1, I remember, I was really on the edge of the Klingons' piece of how they looked as well. I thought that, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. But then to find out there's different factions and different places, like there's a lot there. But anyway, so I agree with you, Gene. I mean, I think it takes some getting used to. I'm still. It's not like I'm not going to watch the rest of the season.
Well, neither am I. I'm in as well.
Are we going to see more Booker?
Eventually, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's gone.
Yeah, I thought it was funny when he was in there drinking.
Hey,
he was. He didn't know what it was. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
I'll tell you this though. I'll go.
We lost you.
I froze.
Yes.
I froze there. Hey, so I froze for a second. I'll tell you this much. I'm gonna go on record right now. I'm gonna say, if they put 2 or 3 more episodes like the one that just happened in episode 3, I may not watch it as quickly as I want to watch it.
Really?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I listen. I can't. That's how bad it was for me. If they put 2 more episodes like that, let's say the next episode is just as bad. Oh man. Yeah. We might not be on that. We might not be on for season 4. It might be on the bubble.
I know what's going on, but you're saying the episode was bad for a different reason. So Moose and I are saying it's moving.
I understand.
Too fast, and you're saying it's moving too slow. It's boring. And so when you say bad, I don't compare that as being bad. I'm sorry. I'm going to rule you're bad out.
It's bad. It's bad in my world. It's bad in the way I describe it.
You stay in your world, and we'll stay in our world. So
So no, and I get what you're saying. That I do feel that they're trying to rush everything into an episode, and so the slow piece for me is just that I feel like there's just too much talk, man. Too much backstory. Come on, give me. Listen.
You were a fan of the zombie TV show. My gosh, I'm losing.
Walking Dead.
You were a huge fan of The Walking Dead, and I called it the Rock and Drama because that's what they did. They talked. They were Jules drama.
Well, after I was a fan until like season 7 or 8 until.
But even
then,
before that, Moosey mentioned in the last podcast, he was like season 1 was like the best episode. Season after that, it was a lot of talk.
I get it, but you dealt with it because that was the thing. If you wasn't cool, if you didn't like Walking Dead, so I want to be cool. I want to be cool,
and deal with it. Be cool and deal with it.
Right? Hey, 2 more episodes, and this is not gonna happen. 2 more episodes like this.
Whatever, you'll watch it. Listen, I'm in. I'm all in. I just hope they lay the foundation a little quicker and a little slower at the same time. That's what I say. Listen, everybody, this is thanks for joining us tonight on the Facebook Live. I will tell you that Mando is certainly by far still one of my favorite shows out there right now on TV. I can't wait for the rest. We will talk about it again. I promise you that next week. Get ready to dig in.
I was just leaving.
Nerd alert, nerd alert, nerd alert, nerd alert.
You've been listening to Podcast for Sci-Fi with Moose, Game God, and Magic Mike. Nerds have more fun. If it's anything sci-fi, we're talking about it. We had fun, and we hope you did too. We have to split, but we'll be back soon. In the meantime, hit us up at podcast4sci-fi.com. This is Podcast for Sci-Fi, where all things sci-fi come to life. Come to life.